Welcome to Digital Thursday. My name is Heather Hickey, and I'm joining you here from the Program Technology team. I also have my partner here, Sarah Roche.
Morning.
So together we're going to be sharing with you some instructions on how to log into your Chromebooks and make use of those, and also highlighting for you some of the apps you now have available to you through the Google Apps for Education suite. Please make sure that you have signed in, particularly if you have supply coverage. And at the end of the session, there is an exit ticket we'd like you to fill out to give us some help. And also looking at having you ask questions this morning. So you have three options for that. You can click on the link to the document to chat live and ask us questions. You also can use the hashtag DP Chats on Yammer and Twitter.
Today we are going to be exploring the Google Apps for Education suite, as well as how to access and log in through the Chromebooks. So when you first power up your Chromebook, you're going to come to this screen that is going to ask you to sign into your Chromebook that's managed by EDUC. So this is the first screen you're going to come across. You will need to enter your employee number if you're an employee, or your student number if you were a student, into that space. Next, you're going to come to a second sign-on screen. You're going to have to enter that email again. So your employee number or your student number at educ.dpcdsb.org, just like you were on the first page. It will look like this. And then you will go ahead and confirm your password, which will be the same password you use for all Duff and Peel logins. You'll go ahead and enter that there, and you will be logged on to the Chromebook, and you will land onto this home page. Logging in and out of the Chromebook will take on the user who has logged in. So whatever you do while you're logged in will belong to you, and once you log out, you will no longer see what everybody else sees. You're going to notice that you have a couple of options down in the bottom left-hand corner here. You have the first option is to access the DP Office 365 suite. Secondly, you have access to the Chrome browser and a search. When you click onto the search, you will come to a Google search, which automatically connects you online. On the Chromebooks, you do operate strictly online, so you will need to be connected to the web for these to work. You'll notice that you can go ahead and do a Google search, and you also have an icon there that says All Apps. And when you click onto All Apps, it's going to take you into the apps that are installed for you. You will be able to access the Google Suite and the Office 365 suite. So by clicking on Office 365, it will take you to this familiar login screen. Well, you will use your same login and password, be it your employee number or student number. And you also will notice in the top right-hand corner that you have access to add bookmarks. So just like any traditional web browser, you can go ahead and bookmark, and it will create a list for you of bookmarks that will follow you from Chromebook to Chromebook as you log on. Once you are logged on, and I'm just going to flip so you can see that. Once you log on, you're going to see this screen here. And in the top right-hand corner is where you're going to have your profile. So you can see here, when I click on my icon here, it gives my employee number, my name, and my login. So I have that ability there. And what you're looking for here is this waffle icon, familiar to you probably. And when you click on here, here's where you're going to find what you have access to as far as the Google Suite. So we will be exploring different various options within the Google Suite for Google Apps for Education. And I'm going to start here just by taking you into the Google Drive. The Google Drive is your storage space, so it operates like your OneDrive in Microsoft. So here you have the ability to upload and save files. You also can see here when you click New, you have the ability to create a folder. You can upload files from your devices, So if you happen to be working on an iPad or a device at home and you wanted to upload something, you definitely could do that. And you also here can launch a new product. So if you're looking to start a Google Doc, Google Slides, and again, by hitting more, you'll get access to the other parts of the Google Apps suite that you have access to. You'll notice just along the top here, you have some options to change your view of the files that you have in there. So either change that back to list view, you can organize them, and kind of arrange your settings in that way. So for the Google Apps for education, the short form is GAFE. So just to be aware that that does operate differently than your private Gmail accounts that you may have. So you definitely want to make sure you're using your school GAFE account when you're saving anything with student information in there.
Okay, so that's essentially how you log on and make use of that. So now Sarah's going to share with you one of the options in the GAFE suite, which is Google Forms.
Today we're going to be looking at an app called Google Forms. Google Forms is a great tool to use in order to create surveys and gather information. When looking at the Catholic graduate expectations, we're looking at 3 specific expectations that really fit the idea of creating surveys and communicating with one another. So one of them is really being able to communicate our thinking effectively. So what does that look like, and what kind of questions, and how do we develop these questions in order to help our students become better communicators, as well as reflective thinkers, and learning to collaborate with each other, possibly on the surveys, or with the content and information that we're giving them, and how they use that information, what it looks like. So the great thing about Google Forms is that you can really enhance that learning by using this survey tool. And we'll show you what that looks like. But when we're thinking about why we use Google Forms compared to any other survey tool that may be out there, one of them is the ability to create unlimited forms. Generally with survey tools, you're limited to a certain amount, but here Google Drive allows you to save really an unlimited amount. There's tons of space there. The other great thing about it is that results can go directly into a shareable spreadsheet. So depending on what you're doing, you can collect your data, you can filter it, you can then share it with students, you can analyze the information. The other thing is logic threading. So that's the ability to change the survey based on the answers. So just say the answer A, then they'd be directed to a subset of answers based on that answer. If they answered B, they'd then be directed to another subset of answers that were different from A. So it's that ability to send them in different locations. And most importantly is the ability to be mobile friendly and being able to use it from any device. We really want to enable our students to be able to use this in different manners. So I'm going to pull out here, and I just want to give you an essence. Come back here for a second. There we go. So when I first come in here, I've signed into my Chrome, and I've come to Google. And here you see that I have my little grid, and when I go into it, I know I can find my Google Apps here. Specifically, I'm looking for more here, and I'm looking for my forms. So when I click into the forms here, it's going to bring me to this page. This page shows me that I've already designed a few, or I've opened up a few forms already, and these are the ones that are in my account that I've worked with. And it also shows me that I have the ability to work with a set of templates. So when I go into more here, I can see that I have some templates that would fit my needs as a teacher, and it kind of gets you started. So if you're not sure where to start, you could go into this exit ticket, and as we open up, you can see that there's an outlay already for you that you can work with. So what you see is you see these little dots on the side, and as I go into here, I know that obviously I can move things around to where they need to be. But as well, I can add questions. So when I add questions, you see that I just press this little plus sign, and I can choose to do multiple choice. And as I open up, I can see that there is a lot of different choices here as to what I can create. Scale, grid, drop-down menu, checkboxes so they can choose as many answers that applies, multiple choice, paragraph, or short text. So you see it's very varied in that way. But what's great about this is that I can also see that I can add images. So if I need to add things like my diagrams, or I want them to look at a specific image and reflect on that, then I can do that. And I can also add in YouTube videos. So it's here that I can then create that. If I wish to do the logic threading and break it up, I would make sure to add different sections. So you can see that it's split up the section, and then I would choose for where things might go. So when I see here, this question here, I can see the 3 dots here. So much like other places, the 3 dots always mean more options. So when I press on here, I can decide to go to section based on answer. And that's what we were talking about with the logic threading. So I can do that. I can go to the part for the answer, and I can choose to go to the next section, section 1, section 2. So then they'd have to answer. If they answered this one, they would have to then go and answer everything in section 2 here. So you see how you can set that up and really design it, and you can really enhance it with the idea of images and videos and really sending them in different directions. So you can really personalize that idea of how you build your surveys. But when you're thinking of why would I use these surveys, besides the simple fact of maybe a quiz, how do we go beyond just the idea of modifying our quizzes online? What else can we do with it? So let's take a quick look at some things that it can do for you. So if you are filling in the forms, one of the things that it said we could do was the ability to create spreadsheets. So what you can see is I can have my answers, and all of my answers, there'll be timestamps, so depending on what day it was answered, and I can see all of the questions up at the top of the form, and then it collects all of my responses within the spreadsheet. Within these, I'm able to then filter and look at specific ones and be able to decide that I just want to filter and look at specific answers, or I want to filter based on a specific date or a specific time if it's a certain class that I want to center in on and take a look at. So you can really zone in on what you're specifically looking for and lead your instruction, or really focus on your assessment based on the answers that were given. The other great thing here with Google Forms is that you're able to see a summary of responses. The summary of responses is not only in the idea of the spreadsheet, but it is now with visuals. So you see the idea of graphing and being able to see how many answered a specific amount. And this could also, in the same sense, either lead your instruction or decide on the assessment, depending on what the question itself was. So the purpose here now is to think, why would we use Google Forms? What kind of ideas might we think about when we are trying to build as an educator, and what might that look like? So there's a few websites here that really help us kind of design and give us ideas. So here you can see that we can use our Google Forms for professional development. So depending on what you're coming from, if you are working in your consultancy, or you're wanting to know what your staff is looking for, or you're wanting to do a lunch and learn for your staff, you might look and decide that you can come and get some feedback, or you can get a survey of what the staff wants to learn and what they're looking for. So here it gives you that kind of idea as we move into here, something that's already set up that you can use. So this gives you the idea. They were putting in their name, or department, or grade level, and when you like your PD, and what your goals are. So really, it sets it up that you can see here and gain ideas for what that might look like. If I come back and we look at the idea from a teacher standpoint, you might have things like a parent survey, a science fair judging form. We may look at a response to literature scoring form, or grading assignments. Now, here's a great thing that I like to use is if I'm in the class and I'm going around and I'm looking at some of the stuff that they've brought in, and I want to kind of have that anecdotal check over. So one of the things I might do is have a form that I can input my assignments into as I'm walking around and grading them and what they're doing. I can be collecting that information into the spreadsheet. So I might have the assignment type. So maybe it's just they're working on a team task together in class, and I want to focus on their collaboration or how well they're communicating. The assignment number, the group that they're in, possibly I'll have a list of my student names in here with the pull down, right? So I'd be able to put in the name of the student, and then I'd be able to give them a score. And I would change this based on how I scored my students and what that looked like. And then every time that I went around, if I had, specific 5 children a day, I'd be able to go in, score them, and then collect this information on the spreadsheet as it went along, so that I could see over time if they were growing or what I could do to improve the instruction or the way that they're learning. So that's from a teacher standpoint. When looking from the idea of a student standpoint, we're looking at the idea of they can use it as peer evaluation forum. They're working in groups. They're evaluating one another. Possibly, we're looking at the idea of surveying the class after a lesson or discussion, what they're thinking. We talked about the idea of creating quizzes and tests, and that's one way of looking at it there. Self-grading and reflection, so really thinking about what they're doing and reflecting on how they worked in class or on a specific task that you gave them. One of them is composition writing. This is a different one that we can kind of take a look at. So if they're working on a specific assignment or they're reviewing or they're doing some research, they would talk with the name of the reviewer, their writing partner. So here you can see that they're reviewing one another's work, the name of their writing, maybe something that worked best, why they chose the sentence that they liked. So it kind of follows the through where you can design something where you're making them think about what they're reading. So if they are assessing a particular assignment, you may kind of gear them towards what they're looking for. So ask them specific questions, and then you're gathering the information and what they're reflecting upon and what they're pulling out of the task that was given to them. So really, it's enhancing the ability to think through your work, to reflect, and to communicate what you're thinking. And really, from the administrator's standpoint, same thing. They could come in here and they could use it for teacher observation forums, whether it's a full visit, a 5-minute walkthrough, kind of seeing how things are going, how students are responding, and then really helping that to drive how we're creating our school community and what it looks like. Sometimes it's hard to collect all that information and remember everything. So having a form and being able to fill out things really helps us, collect our information, whether it be from a student standpoint, a teacher standpoint, or an administrative standpoint.
Thanks, Sarah, for sharing all those tips on Google Forms. And Sarah has added the link to this page into our conversation document. So if you're looking to get to the template for all of those forms, you can go ahead and take that link and bookmark it or put it in to the cube or wherever you're storing your resources. Okay, for the next feature, we're going to take a look at the Google Docs option.
Once you've logged on to your Chromebooks and signed into your GAFE accounts, you may want to explore some of the apps that are available to you. So coming up to the waffle here, you'll see the apps available, one of which here is a Google Doc. So Google Doc is your word processor, and you'll see any documents that you have created will be saved here, but also you can choose to either select a blank document or to choose from a template. And you'll notice if I just select more, there's various templates, but if you scroll down, there's actually specific ones for education. So whether you're teaching story writing or essay writing or how to take notes or any of those things, you may find some helpful templates there for you. I'm going to go ahead and start a blank document. And right away, as soon as you start working in a Google Doc, it will by default automatically saves to your Google Drive. And you can help locate that by naming your document. So you can either click up here in Untitled Document, or you can just select a word you'd like to be your title and then click. And it will name your document for you. You do have the ability to share this document. So by clicking here, you'll notice that very much if you're familiar with the Office 365 sharing features, it operates the same way. In order to share this with another student or educator, you will need to type in their GAFE account. So either their student number or employee number followed by the @educ.dpcdsb.org. You will need to select if you would like them to be able to edit, comment, or view only. And keeping in mind, if you want to collaborate together, you'll need to leave that on the edit feature. Once you do that and share it, you'll be able to find that in your Google Drive. So a great way to be able to collaborate. Some other really great features for education, up under Tools, if you come about halfway down, you'll notice there's an option for voice typing. So this is going to be the feature that allows you to do the speech to text on your Chromebooks. So by simply clicking this and speaking, you'll be able to use the dictation feature. This is a test, period. This is a test for the voice typing, period, new sentence. You can teach your students how to use this feature by practicing on their Chromebooks, period, new paragraph. This is how you use voice typing, period. And then just by clicking stop, it'll stop taking that. Again, you'll have to build in some skills with your students to learn how to go back and proofread over that, but it is a great feature and really helpful for the differentiated piece that you might need in your classroom. Another awesome feature, under Tools again, you're going to notice that there's an option here for research. And what happens is it actually pulls up a side Google search here. And you can choose to search the web or just images, etc. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick Google search here. And this comes in really helpful when your students are researching. So the first thing you'll notice, there's a little arrow here. And when I choose that, I can actually choose to filter the results. And if I click on here and choose free to use, share, or modify, that means that anything that comes up under this result is copyright free, which means you're free to use that. So perhaps maybe they scroll through these images and they see one they'd like to put into their research. They can just click, drag, and drop that into their research. And what's really great is you're going to notice is it puts a little 1 there, and if I scroll to the bottom of the page, it's actually cited that image. So what a great tool when you're researching. You also will notice that you can choose what kind of citation format you want. So depending on perhaps maybe what you've asked your students to use for citing works. And again, I can scroll down through this research and perhaps find a particular site that I want to use. So you can go ahead and actually open that site into a second window. And perhaps maybe you found something in there that you wanted to quote. And I might bring that over into my research here. Oops. And I might go ahead and paste that in. And by doing that, I'm also going to go ahead and cite this site. So I've quoted a site, something off the site. It's put a citation for me, and again, down at the bottom, it has put that into MALA format. So really useful when you're researching that you're able to just drag and drop and insert links and have it cited in the format that you need it cited in. So again, you can preview. I can even insert a link if I want to have the students put a link right to that site where they pulled that information from. So definitely very useful. The other part that's really useful, particularly when your students might be collaborating and working on the same document simultaneously, if we again come up to Tools, sorry, not Tools, File. If you come up to File, you're going to notice about halfway down there's an option to see revision history. And by clicking that, it's going to put up a timeline. So you can see here, because I've made edits in the last minute, you can see both of those edits. Where this comes in handy is when you have multiple students logged on, perhaps working on a shared document, you'll be able to see exactly what times the students were on and what they added and the changes they made. So, and you'll notice down at the bottom it says showed more detailed revision. So by doing that, it actually shows every time I did something new. Why is that helpful? One, I can see what student did what if they're working on group work, which has always been an issue in the past. But it also allows me to recover things. So if I have one student working on a piece and they accidentally delete something that another student did, it's very easy to come into revision history, review that, and click on it and make those changes. So you can revert it back. So if you lose something, you can recover it in that sense. So some really great options in your Google Docs. Again, the voice typing, the research skills, the revision history, and again, the templates that are available to you as educators in this program.
Okay, so that's a brief overview of some of the things you can do with Google Docs. Of course, there are many, many possibilities, but we just wanted to take a time to highlight a few of the other apps as well. So Sarah's going to join us here and share with you some of your options in Google Slides.
Another tool we're going to be examining today is one called Google Slides. Now, Google Slides allows you to create and share and present multimedia presentations, and it's very similar to PowerPoint. Some of the reasons that people tend to use Google Slides, one being that you're able to collaborate and build presentations together, and it has online chat functions so that you can, if you're not in the same room, be able to talk about what you're putting into your presentation. It also has offline access, so if you have the Google Slides app, you can pull that down and you can edit and present the information. You can access the presentation from any device, which is key when we have our students coming in with PEDs and we're using our own personal devices in order to present. As well, you have the ability for easy web publishing and sharing. So if you have a website, you have the ability to use an embed code and put that into your website so students can see the slides that have been created. We were already looking at the login screen, and we talked about going up to this little waffle in order to find some of the apps. When you do go here, you're going to be able to see that you can find slides here. And when you click onto the slides, it's going to give you a few options. So the one thing that you're going to come into is you're going to see a screen like this. It's going to give you a list of templates up at the top, and this little plus sign is the ability to create a new slide. And if you go into the More button, you're going to come up with a list of templates that are applicable for education, work, personal, but stuff that can help you start your slides if you need that, or you work from scratch, which is the blank one. So if you're just getting started or the students are just beginning, there is something that they can use to sort of begin as a template. The other thing is that it really works with PowerPoint. So if you have a template that you're already using within PowerPoint, or you have presentations already there, you can upload them digitally into here, and it will take on that template and use that to create your presentation. When you do go into creating a new slide, you're going to be able to then choose from a set of themes, whether it be simple to complex, and you're really going to be able to work with a range of tools. So I'm just going to pull out of here quickly and show you what that looks like. So I've gone into my waffle, I've clicked on slides, and I've come into here to build a new presentation. So you can already see, as we said, that it offers a variation of themes to pick from, and that we are able to go in and add now our themes, our transitions, our animations, whatever it may be. We can embed our images and really be able to work what that may look like. It really is similar to that idea. If you're used to PowerPoint, it's very similar to it, although it's online now and offers the ability to comment and talk to one another, and it's somewhere that the students can begin working on a presentation and continue and work on it from wherever they may be, or the teacher can share the content information from there. Let's look at a couple of ideas of what that may look like. So I'm just going to head back into here for a minute. And I want you to think of the idea as we talked about collaborate. Some of the best presentations are made when they're made together. So I know we were talking earlier about the idea of Google Drive. And in Google Drive, you can also find, when you open up the new, you'll see that there's Google Slides within there as well. So you can choose to open it up in there. And when you open up a new document, you can either design it and share it or work from scratch. It's this little share button here. So this little blue button, when you share it, so when we share it here, we title it. There we go. So I would add in the email addresses of those that I wanted to edit with, or I could get a shareable link. And when I went and got a shareable link, I could decide whether or not I just wanted them to view the presentation or the content, as well as the ability to edit it or possibly just comment on it. I wanted them to take a look at it. Maybe we're doing some peer editing, and I just want them to comment on what they're seeing. So there's a few different options for why we may be collaborating. But it's the ability that you don't want to email everybody, you can just share the link and open the options up, which is great as well. So back here again. So besides the idea of collaboration, we want to think creativity. How can we get the students to use it in a different way? One way is creating digital books with the slides itself. So the slides offer the ability to add backgrounds, borders, layer text boxes, graphics, shapes. So really, you can easily convert your slides to PDF, which can be opened really on practically any device. And here you can see that when they're working on images, you can search within here to find things that are on the internet. So if I go over, let me just pop over there again for you. Here we go. So if I open up that for you, you can see that I can take a snapshot of what's happening right there at the moment. Maybe it's something that they have saved, but really the search is key. We know that it's going to be working within Google in order to find some of these things here, right? So if I just put in something simple, such as cells, I can then go and decide to choose one of these to embed right in. And let's just say I choose this. It gives you as well the website in which it was found, and I can select it, and then it embeds right into my PowerPoint. So it's really simple. If we just start trying to find images to put in, we know that we can do that and then be able to use the web address to cite where we're going, because it offers you that right on the page itself. Whoops, that's not where I meant to go. Now, the other thing is the ability to have groups working with you. We talked about the idea of collaboration, but think of the idea of a jigsaw activity where students are placed in groups. So what I could do is I could give them directions here, say a reading activity, and it's divided up among groups. So I want, them to all focus on a particular topic. So they become experts of it, as Jigsaw is, and they're going to put the topic within here. They're going to write the group members, and then they're going to create slides that teach me about the topic that they're becoming experts on, so that they can then get up and communicate their ideas clearly. So besides the idea of just using it for teaching, we're going to start thinking about ways that we can also use these apps in order to really engage our students and get them to think critically and get them to communicate and collaborate with one another on things that they're building for your class.
Okay, so some quick tips for Google Slides, which is a great program. And another one of our favorite options is your option to use the Google Drawing.
So another feature of the Google Apps for Education that we would like to introduce to you today is Google Drawings. So to access Google Drawings, when you come into your GAFE account, again, we're looking for the waffle icon. And you'll see a bunch of the Google Apps for Education in here. But if you go right to the bottom, you'll notice that there's an option for more. And then you can even continue to click more to get to this page. And as you scroll down, you'll see some of the options that you have. And just under Home and Office, you're going to notice one called Drawings. And when we open that, it's going to launch the Google Drawings. So Google Drawings acts like a whiteboard space. So if you're familiar with things like Smart Notebook or Explain Everything, you do have similar features in here. So it starts you off with this kind of blank free space that you can add things to, whether it's shapes or text. Put in text boxes and type. You can insert images and all kinds of features. Some great things like all the Google Apps products. You can come in and add collaborators. So either by sharing or coming to File, Add Collaborators, you can type in their EDUC account and give them the opportunity to edit. Also, you'll notice that there's a shareable link there. So if you'd like to share it through a link instead of email to post, you can do that as well. That will allow you to have multiple people working on a document at the same time. So in the Google Drawings, because this is a free space, it does open it up to being able to document the student learning in many ways. Some of those ways include using graphic organizers. So I just want to show you either as the educator, you can create your own graphic organizers, or like what I have done is I've found a bunch of templates online, and I'll share those with you. So you can see how what you could do is create this as an educator and share it to your students, allowing them to copy this into their own Google Drive and then being able to edit it. So it opens up the possibilities for lots of graphic organizers that you might want to use with your students, that you can also manipulate, change, and use all the different features, including multimedia. And again, you can have collaborators in on that document. So if you choose to use one of those, and you have multiple students kind of working in there at the same time, one of the things you can do is actually use the comment feature. So by adding a comment, you'll notice that there's a little icon here to add a comment. You get the dialog box. And you can go ahead and leave comments in here, and you can also come in and respond to comments. So that opens it up for all kinds of possibilities for collaboration. So you may be working with your students, giving them descriptive feedback. You may have students working together and communicating through that dialogue, and you may have students giving each other peer feedback. The nice thing is that you can respond back and forth, and if you've left an instruction here for a student or a group of students, once they've completed that, they can actually come up and hit resolve, and that will file it under this comment box. And by clicking on it, you can see any of the comments, the time that they were put in, the time it was resolved, and you can kind of keep a working dialogue there, which is really great. The other option to know about is here something called revision history. And again, like the other Google products, revision history is great when you are working collaboratively with students and you have more than one student working on something. And in here, you'll be able to see the exact time that revisions were made. And when the students are logged in, it will leave their name. So you would be able to see who actually added what. So you can click on that and work through that revision history. And it's also great, you'll notice there's an option to restore changes. So if during that collaboration time, if something accidentally were to be deleted by another student, you can always retrieve it through that feature. So some really great options in here. I just want to share with you where I pulled those graphic organizers from. So I found this website, and there's many of them. It's a blog, and lots of passionate Google educators out there. So they've created in this blog just a series of options for graphic organizers. And what you'll notice is when you click on that, they've opened it up for you to be able to copy it. And once you've made that copy, then it's now your working document, and you can go ahead and make changes or delete it or change the entire thing. And you can delete what you want to delete. So you can do that with your students. Either share pre-made templates that you find online, or you can create things for yourself. But this product can be used for so much more than just a graphic organizer. It is like a thinking space. So one of the interesting ways that we've seen this used. I'll just show you a couple options here. So you can see, again, the idea of graphic organizers and some mind mapping options. And again, having that collaboration feature is phenomenal. Here you can see the Google Drawings be used in actual graphic arts, where they're creating some pretty interesting graphics. We also start looking at it as a math tool. So because you can drag and manipulate and move things, you can see here they've created fraction strips. So they've set up this template for the students to use as a manipulative. Also posing word problems with interactive pieces, so those can slide around and students can annotate on top of that. Can also be used as a presentation tool. Really simple to make a poster. So lots of interesting options for that. And I just wanted to share with you as well here how we used it. You'll notice the background of your Google Drawing is kind of this checkered pattern. And when you see that, that indicates that the background is transparent. And we call that a PNG file. So what I did is I Googled it, but I found a PNG protractor. And then what we can do is have the students come in, and we brought in an image, and we had the students add some lines, and now they can go ahead and use this as a virtual manipulative to kind of document that learning and thinking. So lots of options inside of Google Drawing. I encourage you to go ahead and search on the internet for some examples that might fit your particular area of curriculum that you might be thinking about. And lots of quick ways and examples for students to demonstrate their thinking here in this space.
So again, I have left those links to those templates, again, on the document, the conversation document. And if you are a Cube for Teachers member, I've also posted them in there under Google Templates, along with PNG templates for those protractors. And we'll just share with you a quick example of how you can share things around with your students.
I'd like to share with you just a quick way that you can share files back and forth with your students. So you do have the ability to share it through their EDUC account by clicking on share and typing that in. Another option would be to come into Google Forms and to go ahead and start a new form. What you can do is actually create a Google Forms for submission. So you might say things like, the first choice is going to be your name, and the second question would be a simple option for them to add their link. And you may decide to add in some other things as well as reflection pieces, or having them reflect on the success criteria, things like that, or dates, or whatever that might look like. Then what happens is when you share this out to your students, they can use that to submit the links to their Google Drawings or Google Docs. That will organize that into a sheet for you to be able to access all your students' assignments for that particular one. Notice how when you click shorten, it does shorten that up. So if you wanted the students just to copy that quickly, that is an option. And I'll just show you, if I launch a new window, if I were the student and I were to go ahead and use that link, I would get right to this page. And what I could do is, as the student, I would type my name, and I would come to my Google Drawing that I created for you, and I would say share, and I would name it whatever the name of it you'd like it to be. You'll see here, get shareable link, copy link, and then they can just come into the assignment here, copy their link, type their reflections or whatever other response you'd like them to include with that, and say submit. So what's great about that is now that you have that as a response, what you'll see is that you could pull that up and actually see all of the students that had handed that in. And if you open it up in what we call the Google Sheets, which is the spreadsheets, which is very similar to Excel if you're familiar with that, you'll notice right away that it's going to timestamp it when they submitted it. There'll be their name and the link will be there. So as an educator, I now have an entire spreadsheet with all my students' assignments and the links to it that I can easily open and go ahead and look at their assignments here. And what I can do is also give some feedback using the comment tool. So a quick way to create an Excel type of sheet in Google Sheets, to have them hand that in. The timestamp's a great feature, so it acts like a Dropbox for the students, and it's a quick way for educators to kind of create a spot for students to drop those assignments really quickly and effectively.
Okay, so that has been a really quick overview for you today of how to access your Chromebooks, log in, and make use of some of the Google Apps for Education apps that are in there for you. Again, this was a quick overview, so you're welcome to come back on Tuesdays as we explore each of those tools a little bit deeper with some more detail. But very exciting here in Dufferin Peel to be launching the Chromebooks and GAFE. So thanks to everyone that made that possible on the program floor and ICT and all the hard work behind the scenes. And we're looking for your feedback, so if you can fill out that exit ticket, we can continue to develop these products for you. Thanks very much from myself and Sarah here.
Bye.
Have fun. Take care.